In the majestic and remote folds of the Tibetan Plateau, where the sky meets the earth in a breathtaking panorama, a project of monumental ambition is taking shape. It is here in Medog County that China has given the green light to the Medog Hydropower Station. This is not just another dam, it is destined to be the largest hydropower project the world has ever seen. The chosen site is the Yarlung Tsangpo, a wild and powerful river that carves its way through some of the planet's deepest canyons before flowing down into India and Bangladesh, where it becomes the mighty Brahmaputra. This river is the lifeblood for millions, a sacred artery that has nourished civilizations and ecosystems for millennia. The significance of this endeavor cannot be overstated. For China, it represents a colossal step towards its goal of carbon neutrality, a way to harness the immense power of nature to fuel its ever-growing cities and industries. The dam is presented as a clean energy marvel, a testament to modern engineering's ability to tame the wildest of rivers for human benefit. It is a symbol of progress, a bold statement on the world stage about technological prowess and environmental commitment. The promise is one of endless renewable power, a future free from the smoke and soot of fossil fuels, all drawn from the relentless flow of Himalayan meltwater. However, where some see a triumph of green energy, others see a looming catastrophe. The Yarlung Tsangpo is more than just a column of water on a map, it is a complex living system. Its seasonal pulses of water dictate the rhythm of life for countless species and communities downstream. The decision to build a dam of this magnitude in such a sensitive location has sent waves of concern far beyond China's borders. It raises profound questions about our relationship with the natural world. When we choose to alter a great river so fundamentally, what are the costs? And who will be the ones to pay the price for this grand experiment? The story of the Medog Dam is therefore a story of contrasts. It is a tale of immense power and immense vulnerability, of national ambition and regional anxiety, of technological dreams and ecological realities. As construction plans move forward, the world watches with a mixture of awe and apprehension. This project will not only transform a landscape, but could also reshape the delicate balance of nature and the geopolitical climate of an entire continent. We are at the beginning of a new chapter in the history of this great river, and the outcome remains deeply uncertain. The fate of one of the world's last great wild rivers hangs in the balance. To truly grasp the magnitude of the Medog Hydropower Station, we must look at the staggering figures associated with it. The project is designed to generate an astonishing 300 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity each year. This output is more than triple that of the current record holder, China's own Three Gorges Dam, which produces between 88 and 100 billion kilowatt-hours annually. This single project aims to produce enough electricity to power entire nations, a testament to the sheer force of the water that will be harnessed. The developer, the Power Construction Corporation of China Limited, is undertaking a task that pushes the very limits of what is considered possible in dam engineering. The financial investment required is just as mind-boggling as its energy output. The estimated cost for the Medog Dam is projected to exceed 1 trillion yuan, which translates to roughly 137 billion US dollars. To put this into perspective, the Three Gorges Dam, itself one of the most expensive infrastructure projects ever completed, cost around 250 billion yuan, or about 34.5 billion US dollars. The Medog project's budget is more than 4 times larger, reflecting the immense technical challenges, the remote location, and the sheer scale of the machinery and materials required to construct a dam in such a formidable environment. When we compare Medog to other famous dams, its ambition becomes even clearer. The Hoover Dam in the United States, an icon of 20th century engineering, generates about 4 billion kilowatt-hours per year. The Medog Dam is designed to produce 75 times that amount. This is not simply an incremental step forward in hydropower technology, it is a quantum leap. The plans involve not just one structure but a complex of tunnels and reservoirs designed to capture the river's energy as it plummets through the Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon. It is a project conceived on a scale that redefines what a mega dam truly is. As of early 2025, while the project has been officially approved, a definitive timeline for the start and completion of construction has not been made public. This lack of transparency adds another layer of complexity to the situation. The world knows that a giant is being planned, but the precise details of its creation remain shrouded in secrecy. This immense undertaking, set to be a landmark of human achievement, is proceeding with a quiet determination that leaves neighbors and observers alike wondering about the full scope of its implications, both for the region's energy grid and for the planet we all share. The site chosen for the Medog Dam is no accident. It is located on the Great Bend of the Yarlung-Tsangpo River, a truly extraordinary geographical feature. Here, the river, after flowing eastwards across the Tibetan Plateau, makes an abrupt hairpin turn to the south, plunging dramatically through the world's deepest and longest canyon. Over a stretch of just 50 kilometers, the water drops an astonishing 2,000 meters. This phenomenal descent creates a concentration of raw, kinetic energy that is unparalleled anywhere on Earth. For hydropower engineers, this location is the ultimate prize, a natural engine of immense power just waiting to be tapped. This dramatic topography makes the site perfect for generating electricity, but it also makes it extraordinarily perilous. The engineering challenges are immense. Building a structure capable of withstanding the colossal force of the river in such a rugged and inaccessible landscape is a task of Herculean proportions. The region is known for its extreme weather, difficult terrain, and the constant threat of landslides. Every piece of equipment, every bag of cement, and every worker must be brought into one of the most remote and challenging environments imaginable. The very features that make the Great Bend so powerful also make it a hazardous place to build. The Yarlung-Tsangpo Grand Canyon is not just a geological wonder, it is a sanctuary of biodiversity. Because of its unique range of altitudes, from tropical lowlands to alpine peaks within a short distance, it hosts an incredible variety of ecosystems. Many plant and animal species found here are unique to this specific region, having evolved in isolation over millions of years. This pristine wilderness is often referred to as a gene bank for its rich and often unstudied collection of life. Building a massive industrial project in the heart of this fragile paradise threatens to disrupt these delicate ecosystems in ways we may not fully comprehend. Furthermore, the area holds deep cultural and spiritual significance. For Tibetan Buddhists, the region around the Great Bend is a sacred land, a Bayul or hidden paradise blessed by Guru Rinpoche. These are places of pilgrimage, meditation, and ancient monasteries that have been preserved for centuries by their sheer inaccessibility. The construction of a mega dam, with its associated roads, worker camps, and industrial activity, threatens to desecrate these holy sites and erase a vital part of Tibet's cultural heritage. The perfect location for a dam is, for many, a sacred space that should remain untouched. The Yarlung Tsangpo does not respect international borders. After its dramatic journey through Tibet, it flows into India, where it becomes the Brahmaputra River, and then continues into Bangladesh, before emptying into the Bay of Bengal. For these downstream nations, the river is a lifeline. The annual monsoon-driven floods replenish fertile soils for agriculture, sustain vast fisheries, and provide drinking water for tens of millions of people. China's plan to build the Medog Dam at the river's headwaters has therefore triggered profound anxiety and geopolitical tension across the region, turning a shared natural resource into a point of contention. India, located immediately downstream, has voiced the most significant concerns. The dam's location near the disputed border region of Arunachal Pradesh, which China claims is part of South Tibet, only adds to the strategic mistrust. Indian officials fear that China could use the dam as a strategic tool, potentially withholding water during the dry season, or releasing it during the monsoon to exacerbate flooding. Such control over the river's flow could devastate agriculture in states like Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, disrupt planned hydropower projects, and create a humanitarian crisis. The lack of transparency from Beijing regarding the dam's operational plans has only deepened these fears. Further downstream, Bangladesh faces its own set of existential threats. The country is one of the most densely populated on Earth, and occupies the vast, low-lying Ganges-Brahmaputra Meghna Delta. The health of this delta is entirely dependent on the steady flow of water and sediment from the rivers that form it. Any significant alteration to the Brahmaputra's flow could have catastrophic consequences. Reduced sediment could lead to the sinking and shrinking of the delta, increasing vulnerability to sea level rise, while changes in water levels could harm the delicate balance of freshwater and saltwater, destroying fisheries and contaminating agricultural land. In response to these concerns, both India and Bangladesh have repeatedly called on China to engage in transparent data sharing and to ensure that the interests of downstream countries are protected. India has even announced plans for its own large dam on the Siang River, the Brahmaputra's name in Arunachal Pradesh, as a potential countermeasure, designed to store water and mitigate the impacts of China's upstream activities. This has led to the worrying prospect of a dam race on one of the world's most important river systems, where competition, rather than cooperation, dictates the future of a shared resource vital to the stability and prosperity of the entire region. The ecological stakes of the Maydog Dam project are honestly extraordinarily high. The Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon, where the dam will be built, is a global biodiversity hotspot. Its dramatic changes in elevation create a mosaic of different climates and habitats, from subtropical forests in the canyon floor to alpine meadows on the peaks. This unique environment supports a breathtaking array of life, including, many species that are found nowhere else on the planet, such as the takin, the red panda, and numerous rare plants and insects. It is a living laboratory of evolution, much of which remains unstudied by science. The construction and operation of a megadam pose a direct threat to this fragile paradise. The creation of a massive reservoir will submerge vast areas of forest and other habitats, destroying the homes of countless creatures. The dam wall itself will act as an impenetrable barrier, blocking the migratory paths of fish and other aquatic species and fundamentally altering the river's ecosystem. Downstream, the regulated flow of water will change the very nature of the river. The natural cycle of seasonal flooding, which deposits nutrient-rich silt and sustains floodplain ecosystems, will be disrupted, leading to a loss of fertility and biodiversity far beyond the immediate vicinity of the dam. We have seen this story play out before. China's construction of 11 mega-dams on the upper Mekong River has had, a devastating impact on downstream countries like Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. These dams have been linked to record-breaking droughts, the collapse of vital fisheries, and a dramatic loss of biodiversity. The Mekong, once a wild and generous river, has become a managed and unpredictable channel, with its natural rhythms silenced by upstream concrete walls. Experts warn that the Yarlung Tsangpo is now facing a similar fate, but on an even grander scale, with potentially more severe ecological consequences. The Chinese government insists that the project has undergone rigorous scientific evaluation and that ecological protection is a top priority. However, the sheer scale of the Maydog Dam makes it difficult to imagine how its construction could proceed without causing significant and irreversible environmental damage. The project forces us to confront a difficult question. Is the pursuit of clean energy worth the sacrifice of one of the planet's last great wildernesses? The loss of this unique biodiversity hotspot would be a tragedy not just for the region, but for the entire world, an irreplaceable piece of our planet's natural heritage gone forever. Building the world's largest dam is a monumental challenge in any location, but building it in one of the most geologically active regions on the planet is a gamble of breathtaking audacity. The Maydog region sits at the collision point of the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates, which, by the way, is the very geological process that created the towering Himalayas. This makes the area incredibly prone to earthquakes. The constant grinding of these two continental plates creates immense stress deep within the Earth's crust and, this stress is released through frequent seismic activity. A recent earthquake in a nearby part of Tibet, which claimed over 100 lives, served as a stark reminder of the region's volatility. The presence of a massive dam and reservoir can actually make things riskier through a phenomenon known as reservoir-induced seismicity. The immense weight of the water in a large reservoir, billions of tons of it, can put new stress on underlying geological faults, and even lubricate them, potentially triggering earthquakes. The 2008 Sichuan earthquake, which killed nearly 70,000 people, occurred just a few kilometers from the Zipingpu Dam. While a direct causal link is debated, many scientists believe the dam's reservoir may have contributed to triggering the devastating quake. Building a dam far larger than Zipingpu in an even more active seismic zone is a risk of enormous proportions. The catastrophic failure of a dam of this size is almost unimaginable. A breach caused by a powerful earthquake would unleash a wall of water of biblical proportions down the canyon and into the plains of India and Bangladesh. The resulting flood would be a humanitarian and ecological disaster on a scale never before witnessed, sweeping away everything in its path for hundreds of kilometers. Even if the dam itself were to hold, a major earthquake could trigger massive landslides into the reservoir, displacing enormous volumes of water and creating devastating downstream floods, a phenomenon known as a displacement wave. Chinese officials maintain that the project's design will incorporate the most advanced earthquake-resistant technology and that all geological risks have been thoroughly assessed. Yet, the history of megaprojects is littered with unforeseen consequences, and honestly, nature often has a way of defying our best-laid plans. The decision to proceed with the Medog Dam is a bet that engineering can triumph over the immense and unpredictable forces of geology. It's a bet where the stakes include not only a multi-billion-dollar investment, but also the safety and security of millions of people living in the shadow of this new giant. Beyond the environmental and geological risks, the Medog Dam carries a profound human cost. The construction of the dam and its vast reservoir will require the displacement of local communities, forcing people from the ancestral lands their families have inhabited for generations. While the region is sparsely populated, the lives of the indigenous Tibetan people who call this area home will be irrevocably altered. They will be moved to make way for the rising waters, their villages, farms, and grazing lands submerged forever beneath the surface of the new lake. This process of forced relocation is often a deeply traumatic experience, severing people from their livelihoods, their communities, and their sense of identity. This is not a new story in China's history of dam building. The construction of the Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River resulted in the displacement of an estimated 1.4 million people, a massive social upheaval that was fraught with challenges, including inadequate compensation and difficulty finding new livelihoods. For the Medog project, the concerns are magnified by the unique cultural context. The affected communities are primarily Tibetan, an ethnic minority with a distinct language, religion, and way of life. The project threatens not just their homes, but the very fabric of their culture, which is deeply intertwined with the sacred landscape that is set to be transformed. The fear of cultural destruction is palpable. In early 2024, a chilling precedent was set when over 1,000 Tibetans were arrested for protesting the construction of another dam on the Drichu River, which threatened to destroy 6 ancient monasteries. This forceful suppression of dissent has raised alarms about what might happen in the Medog region, which is also home to sacred sites and ancient cultural heritage. The dam's construction could lead to the loss of irreplaceable monasteries, holy pilgrimage routes, and other sites that are central to Tibetan spiritual life. For many, this amounts to the erasure of their history and identity. The project is therefore seen by many critics not just as an infrastructure project, but as a tool of assimilation and control in a region with a long history of political and cultural tension. The displacement of local populations and the influx of thousands of outside workers will fundamentally change the demographic makeup of the area, further diluting the Tibetan presence. The human cost of the Medog Dam is measured not only in lost homes and lands, but also in the potential silencing of a unique culture and the loss of a spiritual heritage that has been nurtured by this sacred river for centuries. In the face of growing international and local concern, the official communications from the various governments involved have been a study in contrasts. The Chinese government has consistently presented the Medog Dam as a landmark project for sustainable development. Officials state that it is a crucial component of China's ambitious pledge to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. They insist that the project has been subject to rigorous scientific and environmental evaluations, and that the protection of the local ecology is a paramount consideration. Furthermore, they have offered assurances that the dam will be operated in a way that respects the interests of downstream nations and will not cause them harm. In sharp contrast, the official response from India has been one of cautious but firm opposition. The Indian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has publicly urged China to practice transparency, share hydrological data, and ensure that the livelihoods and safety of its downstream populations are not jeopardized. India's defense minister has stated that the government is on alert, a clear signal of the strategic and security implications of the project. To counter China's growing leverage over the shared water resource, India is actively planning its own large dam, the Siang project in Arunachal Pradesh, signaling a move towards strategic competition rather than regional cooperation over the river's future. Caught between these geopolitical giants are the voices of the local communities and environmental groups, who express a mixture of fear, resignation, and defiance. For the Tibetan people living in the Medog region, the project represents a direct threat to their homes, their culture, and their sacred lands. Protests against similar projects like the one on the Drichu River have been met with arrests and suppression, leaving many feeling powerless and unheard. Their concerns are often dismissed in the grand narrative of national progress and clean energy, their ancient connection to the land overlooked in the face of monumental engineering ambitions. International environmental organizations and human rights groups have also raised their voices, amplifying the warnings of scientists and local activists. They point to the precedent set by other megadams in China and around the world, which have often failed to deliver on their promises while causing irreversible social and ecological damage. These groups call for a moratorium on the project until a truly independent and comprehensive assessment of its impacts can be conducted, one that includes meaningful consultation with all stakeholders, especially the downstream nations and the local communities whose lives are set to be turned upside down. As we stand here today on the 22nd of September 2025, the future of the Yarlung Tsangpo Brahmaputra River is shrouded in uncertainty. The Medog Hydropower Station exists as a grand plan, an approved project of immense scale, but many crucial questions remain unanswered. China has not yet revealed a public timeline for construction, leaving the world to wonder when the first excavators will break ground in this remote canyon. The precise operational details, how the flow of water will be managed day to day and season to season, remain a closely guarded secret, fueling anxiety in downstream capitals from New Delhi to Dhaka. The global significance of this project extends far beyond the borders of China, India, and Bangladesh. It is a critical test case for how the world will manage shared natural resources in an era of growing climate change and geopolitical competition. Will great transboundary rivers become tools of strategic leverage, sources of conflict between nations? Or can we find new models of cooperation, based on transparency, shared data, and mutual respect for the needs of all who depend on the river's bounty? The path taken on the Yarlung Tsangpo will set a powerful precedent for other shared river basins around the globe. The story of the Medog Dam forces us to confront some of the most difficult trade-offs of the 21st century. How do we balance the urgent need for clean energy with the equally urgent need to protect our planet's last remaining wildernesses and their incredible biodiversity? How do we weigh the economic benefits of a massive infrastructure project against the cultural and spiritual heritage of indigenous communities? These are not easy questions, and the Medog Dam brings them into sharp, unavoidable focus. The choices made here will echo for generations to come, long after the concrete has set. Ultimately, the fate of this mighty river hangs in the balance. It is a story that is still unfolding and one that demands our close attention. We must continue to listen to the voices of the scientists who study its ecosystems, the engineers who plan to tame it, the politicians who debate its control, and most importantly, the people who have lived alongside it for centuries. For the Yarlung Tsangpo is more than a source of power, it is a source of life. And what happens next in its deep canyons will tell us a great deal about the future we are choosing to build for our planet.